Welcome to Simper Sometimes with Benny. I'm gonna go ahead and call him a special guest. I say that all the time, but hey, you know what? Every one of them is special. Met him this past week at the Boar Biz event that I went to. I talked to you guys about that. I was gonna get ready to go to that, and I met a lot of influential people. I met people who were, doing the same thing, sponsoring their own businesses, and people, other veterans just coming up and talking to me at my table. And Kyle here is one of the people that came up to me, and we just started talking about things. And like most military members, we just felt like we knew each other forever already, and we just had a couple of drinks, had a couple of laughs, and just talked to each other about what we're doing to help the veterans out there. Um, Kyle has a nonprofit and a for-profit. He's going to go into, his time in the military, and then he's also going to hop in and talk about, what he's doing for our community. So without further ado, welcome, Kyle.
Appreciate it, Benny. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, definitely, man.
Yeah, so my name is Kyle Hansen. I am the co-founder of Recycle for Veterans, EcoWarriors. And my story, I guess, I'm a Marine Corps veteran. I joined in 2014 early. From there, I was 0311 slash A152 Security Forces. So I started off over in Bangor, Washington on a convoy combat team. Basically just secured, nukes going back and forth. Had the opportunity to go to squad leaders course, and then moved over to 1-1 in 1st Marine Division, where ultimately I was medically separated due to an AV explosion. We were training. Shit. Yeah, we were training, and my vehicle ran over a gas line during an op, and that's what ultimately led me out of service.
Oh, damn. So how did how did that feel? Like, were you at the time, were you planning on doing longer? Did you think that you'd stay in longer? Like, what was that like?
Honestly, I wanted to stay in, the goal, like, I guess, a majority of people, right, is they want to do MSG, right?
Yeah.
Everyone wants to do MSG. It's a cool gig. That's what I initially wanted to do. Obviously it was a little off guard. It was a little confusing, obviously, because, we're on Camp Pendleton. Wasn't really expecting that to happen, but, training accidents happen all the time, and kind of had to roll with the punches on it.
So now, is that something, like, how did that happen? Like, is this something that could have been prevented, or not really? Like, it was just literally some freak accident.
So I think it could have been prevented. And, I recommend, if someone's really interested, to take a look at it. Basically, when our AAV, we were storming a notional, facility with our AAV, and we performed a herringbone. For those who don't know what that is, it's just vehicle goes off to the side of the road, essentially. To avoid any attack from the air, or even IEDs, etc. When we did that, our AV slipped into like a pocket of dirt, and as it was trying to get out, there was a gas line that was exposed. So that's where I think it was negligent on the Marine Corps, but I still love the Marine Corps and everything it's done for me. But yeah, when the AV went over that gas line and it cracked, as the AV was trying to get out of the crevice, ditch, whatever you want to call it, it sparked the gas, which had caused it to blow up. Yeah.
Okay. So before we get into the creation of your company,
yeah,
why did you join the Marine Corps? Why did you join the Marine Corps? And then why did you go 03? Like, why was that? Was it kind of like you grew up like that? Like, this is what I want to do type thing? Or was it like you were one of those people who just walked in the office one day and was like, hey, screw college? Like, what was it?
No, for me, honestly, I always knew I wanted to be a Marine. I had a lot of influences in my life. Some neighbors who were actually infantrymen in the Iraq era. That was a huge inspiration. And also, I had an older cousin who served in the Marine Corps 22 years. He wasn't in the infantry, but, obviously he was an inspiration to me as well. So I always knew I wanted to serve in some sort of capacity, definitely in the Marine Corps. And infantry was really the only option for me. I just knew if I was going to do it, peacetime or not, I wanted to be that person. If there was something that we needed to fight for, I would be there for it. because I was during the peacetime.
Yeah.
So, and obviously I still wanted to do infantry no matter what.
Got you. Okay. And also, where are you from? Where are you? Where did
Yeah,
you
I'm yeah, I'm
begin?
from yeah, so I'm from Orange County, California.
Oh, okay.
So just south of LA, north of San Diego, right dab in the middle.
Okay. And that's where you're at now.
Correct.
No
Yes.
doubt. Okay. So so what led you to starting your company? You said, I know you said something earlier, you were just saying that, even though this incident happened and you believe that it could have been prevented, you don't hate the Marine Corps because you thank it for everything you have. So can you tell us a little bit about that? Like, why do you mean that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, I guess maybe a couple people could relate to this, but um I came from a pretty well-off family. I was very fortunate. My parents worked hard. Um, but they didn't come from that, and they gave me some good morals.
Mm,
Hard to join the Marine Corps though, really kind of set me straight in the sense of I just didn't really have the structure I needed. You know, my parents were around, they were always there for me, but I didn't get that like leadership guidance, that on my own type deal. And that's part of why I joined the Marine Corps, was to just kind of go on my own. I wanted to do my own thing. I didn't want to be under my parents' wing or anything like that. So and the tie into what, like I said, I don't hate the Marine Corps, is because I mean, there's just so many valuable lessons that you learn in the infantry, especially. I think, from just working with people to leadership principles, learning how to work with difficult people, right? Especially in the infantry, there's always difficult people. But I don't know. I just really feel like there was a lot of pivotal things that happened during my short time in the Marine Corps that really helped me excel and understand things after I got out.
and see, I love when I meet people like you, because it's, you could have. So how long were you in the Marine Corps before you got medically separated?
I was just over 4.
Okay. So I have a close friend of mine. Same thing. I have two young men that I didn't put them in the Marine Corps, but I was there like right when they were joining the Marine Corps. I just started recruiting duty. One of them I put in the Marine Corps. And one of them, he's infantry, same thing. And he's getting medically separated right now, because he was in a motorcycle accident and he like essentially ripped like apart his back.
Wow.
And he had surgeries and all this stuff, and he was trying to continue to hump, trying to do all this stuff, and eventually the Marine Corps was like, "Hey, bro, we can't keep you in the Marine Corps." And same thing you're saying. He's not blaming the Marine Corps. He's like, "Bro, shit happens, and I still love the Marine Corps because it gave me X, Y, and Z."
Mhm.
Another buddy of mine, Cole Devlin, same thing. He's from out here in Jersey. My buddy Aranda put him in the Marine Corps, and excuse me,
Mhm.
he same thing. I don't remember exactly what he's getting medically separated for, but he's getting medically separated, and now he's buying a house, he's getting married, he's doing all these different things, and it's just good to see that that someone, even though you had a short time in the Marine Corps, the saying, once a Marine, always a Marine, really stands true, because even though you were only in for the 4 years in the time, you still dealt with things and you still had a reason to, create a nonprofit, create a for profit, create something to help give back, and it's good to hear that you're not bashing the Marine Corps. You're not saying, "Oh, if it wasn't for the Marine Corps, this wouldn't have ever happened to me." Okay, well, of
Yeah.
course, but then all these other things wouldn't have happened either. So it's good to hear, and a positive, I guess, positive slash negative story. But
Yeah.
so what are some things that you would say that you dealt with throughout your career, in that 4 years, that kind of just molded you into the person that you are now, and then lead that into why you wanted to begin this, this journey of this career?
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess I'll list a couple things that really stood out to me while I was in the Marine Corps. One being out of my comfort zone, especially in the infantry, right? I mean, you're always in the suck
Yeah.
quoted. It's not fun a majority of the time. But that really molded me to really have, a lot of heart in the sense, and really under deer, anything that's really going on. I mean, that's one of the main things I take away. And then the second is working with people. I mean, you work with all kinds of people, especially in the Marine Corps. I mean, you get people from everywhere. I mean,
Yeah.
Chicago, New York, Texas, Iowa. in California, you know, Washington, you're bringing all these people from everywhere, different
Yeah.
demographics, and you're essentially working together for an ultimate cause, which is to protect your country.
Hmm.
I think that was most important to me, because what I've realized getting out, and I'm sure I'm not the only one, is working with civilians isn't easy either. In the Marine Corps, you know, there's a lot of structure to things, right? So everyone kind of understood an underlining structure. But in the civilian world, there isn't that. I mean,
Hmm.
you could be dealing with the same style of person that you dealt with in the infantry. Maybe you had that one Marine, you know, that one rifleman, right, that always just couldn't get his shit together. I mean, there's going to be that person in the civilian world too, but now you learned how to deal with that person. You know how to
Hmm.
train them, you know how to guide them and lead them as a serving leader. That's what the
Hmm.
infantry taught me was, you know, there's obviously you got your quote managing squad leaders, right? Those who are just like, hey, do this, do that, do this, do that. But I was thankful enough to have some good leadership that taught me otherwise to be more of a serving leader.
Hmm.
So that really pushed me to bring that into the civilian world as
Can
well.
you can you talk a little bit more about that? What do you mean by that? Like deeper, like what do you mean by a serving leader
Yeah.
versus a what was the other one?
Yeah. Oh, no, just like a manager, you know,
Okay.
like do this, do
So what
that.
would you say, like how would you explain that? Because I guess
Yeah.
for me, I've always kind of said that. I've never heard it the way you said it, and I like it because for me, I kind of like I've always contributed to like if I didn't think you exhibited great leadership traits, I would just call you boss. So
Yeah.
for me, it's like, okay, there's a boss and there's a leader.
Yep.
And a lot of people are that person who's just like, hey, go do this, go do this, go do this. And then other people, like my buddy Gunny Ujama, I got to witness him today, swung by his office and I got to witness him today. And it was just such a different way of leadership. Like, you know, he needed this Marine to fill out this paperwork, right?
Mhm.
And instead of just handing it to him, putting it on his desk and saying, hey, fill this out, he literally went over to him and was like, hey, I need you to do this. And this is how you're going to do it. And this is why you're going to do it. And this is why we need it done. And then I was like, oh, I was like, wow, look at that. But meanwhile, other people are just like, hey, bro, do that. And then they
Yep.
walk away. So
Uh,
can you talk a little bit about exactly how you put it? Because I never heard it like
yeah.
that before.
No, absolutely. And like I said, you know, I've had experience in leadership on the lower echelon, like, you know, squad leader level,
Mm-hmm.
a little bit in a platoon sergeant, but not much at all.
Yeah.
What I mean by a serving leader is just someone who wouldn't do something or tell someone to do something that they're not going to do or hasn't done before. You know,
Mm-hmm.
that's very important. Obviously, you know, at a squad leader level, you know, if you're going to tell someone, hey, do this, you have better have done that before and been through that before, and B, be willing to do it again. You know, I know it's more of an ethos mindset, but it's definitely someone to a serving leader to me is someone who is willing to lead and guide people to success other than tell them what to do to get to success.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the difference in my opinion, a serving
No,
leader and managing.
yeah, definitely. Because like and we've all seen it, you know, you have those corporals who people have this idea, like these senior lance corporals, like, oh, I can't wait to become a corporal because then I can sit around and do nothing. And it's like, no, 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 no. It's not, no, no. You're supposed to still be working, but now you're just a working supervisor.
Yep.
You know, you're still supposed to be out there. You know, for me, it's the, you know, I'm motor T. So for me, it was the motor pool. And there was so many people, or I would be like, I'd see these people get promoted and I'd be like, yo, why is he always upstairs in the office? Like
Yeah, it's the
all of
moment you get
all of
promoted, man.
all of a
The moment
sudden,
you
this
hit
guy
corporal,
just
all of a
no
sudden.
longer has to do a job out here in the motor pool. Like, where is this guy? And then all of a sudden, I just find out that there's this like hidden office that everybody just goes and sneaks off to. And it's like, no, man, go be out there with your Marines. Show them what it is to do the work. Show them what it is to like. And that's the thing, man. As you like you said, I like that serving leader because you know you're not going to appreciate the success and you're not going to learn how to get to the success if I'm just like, hey, go do this. Because the reality of it is that maybe that's not the best way for you to do it because you're a different person than I am, and it might not work out like that. So what have inevitably led you to your business? Like, what made you start it? Like, because it's a very unique thing. That's I
Yeah,
think
thank you.
why I wanted you to bring, you know, because it's like I just in my mind, and don't take offense to this, but
Yeah.
I don't think I would ever see marine and recycling. It's like,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
you know,
environmentalism with the Marine Corps,
even
right?
even when you see marine and toys for tots, it's a great thing, and the marine people know us for it. But even then, it's still like a wait a minute, and that's the beautiful thing about the Marine Corps is that everybody, no one understands that the Marine Corps does humanitarian things. No one has any idea, and that's why I think it's as bad as everything that is that's going on right now in the world. I think it's awesome because people are it's been so long since things like this have happened, which isn't a bad thing. But now you're seeing the Marine Corps on two different spectrums.
Absolutely.
You're seeing the Marine Corps feed children. You're seeing them, all these pictures of the Marine holding the baby, and
Yeah, no, shout out to one.
you're
Yeah,
seeing the Marine Corps in a different light, and that it's not just pew pew and all these things. So
exactly.
tell us a little bit about that. How did it get started? Was it how did you get the idea?
Yeah, absolutely. To go in with how our Recycle for Veterans Eco Warrior started, when I was at Wounded Warrior Battalion, because that's where they sent me after I got
Oh,
hurt,
okay.
to recover there on Camp Pendleton on the rehabilitation center over there.
Hmm.
I actually saw a bunch of trash like in the field. And to be honest, I was stuck on Wounded Warrior. Like I couldn't leave the premises. They were like, hey, I got to go to like a yoga class, get my stretch in at like
Oh, sorry.
13. Yeah.
Sorry
Go
to
ahead.
interrupt you. Before you hop into that, if you don't mind me asking, when you got hit by this explosion, what happened that you needed to go to,
Oh,
to
yeah, absolutely.
rehab and stuff like that? Like, what was it that happened?
Yeah. So like all the Marines that were in the AV, unfortunately, I received third and fourth degree burns on my face and arms. And I also had a minor tear like in my lower back because when I was trying to exit the vehicle, I actually got blown out of the vehicle and landed on my like neck in the ditch.
Oh,
So
wow.
kind of like compressed some stuff. And then finally, I ended up getting TBI, traumatic brain injury from it. So that's ultimately what got me away from the infantry. I was trying to go back, but when I was told I had TBI, that's like a huge killer for the infantry. You can't have as as weird as that sounds, right? Once it's diagnosed, traumatic brain injury, you're not allowed to hold a rifle, especially in the infantry. They don't want any mix-ups or anything like that. So
Mm.
that's what ultimately got me to Wounded
So,
Warrior Battalion was all
so
those injuries.
if you don't mind me asking, how
Yeah,
did at this time, how did that feel? Like, was it like, were you depressed at all? Were you pissed off? Were you
yeah.
frustrated? Because I can only imagine like being told like, hey, you can no longer do what you love and you're gonna
Mhm.
have to get out of the Marine Corps.
Yeah, so it's a very pivotal point. Um, in my career at that point. That's what actually drove all this. I was told I couldn't do that, and I understood it. Was unfortunately my unit deployed. I felt very almost felt like I lost. You know what I mean? Like for I was doing everything I had to do to get to where I needed to be. I wanted to be a squad leader. I did everything I was doing, and all of a sudden this happened, right? And especially it was very confusing as a squad leader to also have to be there for my Marines who were very young privates and PFCs, Lance Corporals who also haven't deployed and were wanting to get that deployment. Also, their vision of the infantry was very misguided when they thought they were going to go to combat. And so they felt in myself it was a little odd at first to be injured on Camp Pendleton, right? Something like this typically doesn't happen. So it was just very confusing. And obviously I was very upset, especially when I found out the gas line was exposed and it was not properly buried. That's what truly, struck my hanker for that. So yeah, I guess ultimately, I was pretty disappointed, but ended up realizing this was more of a lesson than anything,
Yeah.
um, you know, guiding me in
Yeah.
my life,
And
if
that's
that
the
makes sense.
thing. Like now, mind you, at this time, you're married, right? I met your wife. or is it
Oh
your
yeah,
girlfriend?
my girlfriend, same thing.
Okay. So at this time, were you guys together or?
No, we weren't actually.
Okay.
We weren't together. We knew each other, and we had talked before, but during that time when I was injured, I wasn't. I was about to deploy. I was just trying to keep it together. I was really trying to stay focused on what I had to do at hand, which was, hey, I'm going to deploy with my squad and focus that, because last thing I wanted to do was a long distance relationship on top of going on deployment.
Yeah.
I've seen it with all my friends. It can happen, but it's very difficult, and I didn't want to add that extra stress.
Yeah, man. I'm one of those cases. I am married happily. I met my wife. We started dating right before boot camp, and then we ended up getting engaged right from before my deployment. And funny story, when we all came home on pre-deployment leave, and my staff sergeant at the time, Staff Sergeant Espinoza, and all my corporals were like, Bennett, you better not get effing married while you're on freaking pre-deployment leave. I will freaking kill you. So I was just like, no, I'm not gonna get married. I'm not gonna get married. And I told my girlfriend, my now wife, I was like, we're not gonna get married. I'm not gonna do that because I've heard so many horror stories. So I did ask her to marry me though,
Mhm.
and we got engaged, and we um, we got engaged, and the funny thing was is that because of how petty I am as a human being and as a man, I was like, what's effed up? Everybody, women get engagement rings, but men don't. Why is that? Like, why don't you ask me to marry me? So I literally said, so I asked her to marry me, and then like a week or so later, I'm like, I was like, get me a ring. I want an engagement ring. So we buy like
King season.
some like $30 wedding band, and I wear it, and I jokingly I tell my corporals, I'm like, hey, listen, I did not get married, but just tell Staff Sergeant Espinoza that I got married. So we get in the van, and we're driving back to Camp Lejeune, and we're literally like 12 of us packed in this van, and he turns around, and I'm just like kind of twiddling my finger like this, and he stops the van. He pulls over on the side of the road, and he gets out, and he pulls me out of the van, and he starts ripping into me. He's like, are you effing kidding me? I told you not to get married. And he's bugging out on me. And then I'm just like, I'm sorry, I had to. So I thought he knew, but we
Mhm.
never told him I didn't get married. So the whole entire deployment in Afghanistan, he thought I was married. And then when we came home from Afghanistan, he introduced himself, and he was like, "Oh, hi, Mrs. Bennett. Congratulations. I didn't get to see you before we left." And he's like, "I'm glad to see you're still here." And my wife was like, "We haven't gotten married yet." And he was, it was
He was
hilarious,
like,
bro. He was so pissed. And the funny thing was, he spoke English, but I think he
yeah,
was like Brazilian or something. So he had a really thick accent, but it was funny, man. But yeah, so I am the one. I've been with my wife my whole entire career. Um,
that's
Now,
amazing.
yeah, going on 12 years. So, but
Well,
yeah, man, it's crazy. But so back to you.
yeah,
How did it all begin, man?
yeah.
You go. So I'm sorry. So you're
I was
at.
in the warrior.
Yep.
Yeah, and like I said, I saw some trash in the field, and it was like a McDonald's bag or something like that. I remember it was fast food, and I went out and picked it up because I'm hanging around on the campus that got there. And as I was walking into the trash, there was a bunch of trash everywhere, and I was like, dude, this is ridiculous. So I actually picked it all up, and then I walked inside where we were just kind of lounging. I was waiting for my class, and I saw an ad for I forgot what company it was or what movement, and it was showing all the trash in the planet, like all the debris, everything going on. And that's my side of what struck my passion for doing what we're doing at Recycle for Veterans.
Mhm.
I wanted to clean the planet. Like I said, it was kind of at the same time where I was like, I don't know what I want to do. I was
Yeah.
trying to figure out what I wanted to do when I get out. I was like, oh, I could go do private security, whatever. But honestly, I just had like a moment where I saw this and I was like, you know what? I want to do this. I'm going to take a leap on this. And that's when I brought my business partner in. Andrew Levin, and I was like, hey, let's do this together. Which ultimately we came up with Recycle for Veterans EcoWarriors, which our mission is to remove trash from our planet by empowering veterans to clean our communities. And how we accomplish our mission is by having our veteran operated cleanup crews cleaning our planet. And the end result of that is we are giving veterans a chance to, quote, recycle their leadership skills and continue to serve in a different and honestly, man, an equally important way. So that's kind of what, a brief synopsis of what our company is and what we do is we're an
So,
environmental conservation group.
so essentially, from what I'm understanding, is that you got medically retired,
Mhm.
and in your head and in in that moment of time, you were like, "Bro, I lost my purpose." And then moments later, you found your purpose, and now through this opportunity, you're helping other veterans regain and find their purpose again.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's exactly, our company is built on purpose.
Yeah.
The whole vision was we wanted to empower veterans, build community, and clean our planet through action. That's actually our vision statement
Okay.
within our organization.
So
And
now, how does it work?
yeah, absolutely.
How does it work? How does somebody get involved in it? Where are
Yeah.
you located? I know you said there's a bunch of different ones. You're
Yeah.
trying to get bigger. So
Yeah,
how
so
does all that work?
we currently operate on the West Coast in key cities. So our current operations are in San Diego, Orange County, Los Angeles, San Francisco, and Seattle, Washington. And by the end of the year, we'll have Portland, Oregon up and running. The way you could get involved is just by checking us out at Recycle for Veterans on any platform and seeing where our nearest cleanup is. Um, the way we actually operate is through action. So we go to heavily impacted areas within our region and we bring our EcoWarriors, which is our program and our nonprofit. What I is speaking to you about is we're taking veterans and community and we're bridging that gap through action, which is essentially cleaning our planet. Because at the end of the day, no matter what your viewpoint is, there has to be some action taken on this if we want our great grandkids to enjoy the fruits we do of this planet.
Yeah.
And it's very political, the topic, but at the end of the day, that's the fact of the matter is, do you want your great grandkids to enjoy what we have here?
Yeah.
If you do, we have to take action. And
It's
that's why.
and you're right, man, because it's so true, and I mean this, and there's no better way for me to say it. So if anybody listening takes offense to it, then you're that person.
Yeah.
And bro, it gets me so mad. I'm not gonna say I've never accidentally done it, but it makes me so mad when people litter. Because in my head, I'm like, you're a dirtbag. Like you're like that's the epitome of being a dirtbag. And I say that because like every day I drive on to this egg. I come out of my house, I turn left, and then I turn right, and then I have to take a jug handle, and I turn left, and I go on to the turnpike, and every single day, all I see on the whole entire turnpike is just trash. And
Mhm.
I'm like, and it's like as soon as you turn on, and I'm just like, why would you roll your window down to just like my car is disgusting, and it's just because I have water bottles, energy
Yeah,
drinks, because I forget to throw it out, but I'm like, I'm not gonna roll my window down to purposely
absolutely,
throw it
man.
out the window,
Yeah,
or
pack in,
like a
pack out
wrapper,
always.
or and another thing too that I find very strange, and I don't know why, but I get it. Like it makes sense, but it doesn't. So years ago, they used to have cigarette holders or cigarette butts in the cars.
Mhm.
Now they don't. But now, if you're smoking in the car and you just flick it out the window, which I will admit that is something I have done, I will admit that. But I don't really smoke too much anymore. But that's a kind of like but then somebody was telling me, I don't know how true this statement is, so Google it, I guess. Somebody was telling me, a friend of mine, he's like a huge like conservationist and
Mhm.
vegan, and he's into all
Yeah.
stuff like that. And he was telling me that apparently birds use the filter of cigarette butts to like insulate their nests. I don't know how true that is, but
Looking right now.
apparently,
Yeah.
huh?
I'm taking a look right now for you. Just Google. Let's see. Yeah. Says some do birds use it? Yeah, certain urban birds seem to harmless the toxic chemicals in a cigarette butt and use it to insulate their nest. So like basically just birds have adapted in urban areas is what I'm getting at. And they use them because they're everywhere.
Pigeons just gotten like this.
Pigeons just one day saw the cigarette butt and was like, you know what? I got this.
Mad Newports all over New York. They're just like, yo,
like
with their Timberlands.
Like, remember Jim, how he froze over last winter? Yeah, this ain't happening.
Nope, man. Get the Newports and get the Reds. We got this. But okay. So now, so you said you go into the heavily populated areas. You guys take action. And what do you? So does everybody just? Because I know I did one in San Diego when I was at the Baker Basic Recruiters course, and I don't know what organization it was, but I remember I did that. And we just went like underneath this overpass, and we were like, and dude, it's crazy because like you really don't realize how much freaking litter there is, and it's disgusting because I remember like we all went out, and it was like probably like 25 Marines, and we filled up the back of like 5 or 6 trucks. Like we all had like 2 or 3 like 50-gallon bags. Like it was freaking disgusting. And it's crazy to think that there's, and that's like, and it's only a dent that you put in. So like, I don't know if you know this, but do you guys measure how much pounds of stuff you guys get on each pickup?
So process to what we do. We go to waterways, so this stuff doesn't get into our oceans, what ultimately goes into food we eat. We don't want that to happen. So we'll attract our business to waterways and start picking up things like that. Beaches, a lot of stuff washes up on the beach, as we all know. Thousands of pounds do every year on United States soil. We want to prevent that by picking it up. We also do trails. Unfortunately, hikers there are responsible hikers out there, but a lot of people didn't learn to pack in what you pack out, as you know, from the Marine Corps, right? A lot of people didn't learn that, I guess. So we actually do a lot of trails that are pretty nasty as well.
Yeah, it's crazy. I remember growing up, my brother's in the Army. He's retiring like in a couple of days. And I remember growing up watching him field strip his cigarettes. And I was always just like, wow, why do you do that? And now I don't smoke too much, but even when I do, even on my front porch, I have an ashtray, but I field strip and then I go throw them out inside. It's crazy. But it's another random thing just because we're talking about recycling. I've noticed, I don't know how it is in California, but in New Jersey, a lot of businesses don't use straws anymore. They use the paper straws, right? But you know what I find? You know what I find very strange though? They use paper straws, but they give me my drink in styrofoam.
Yeah, so that's just what you would call greenwashing, in my opinion. And
okay.
I'll emphasize my opinion. And greenwashing is when companies are trying to be eco-friendly, but they're not educated on the matter, or they're using it to gain profits. They're using it to gain a market space. They're like, oh, we're gonna use paper straws instead of using plastic because maybe they'll use the quote that everyone uses is "save the turtles," you know what I mean, or something like that. When in reality, like you said, what's the logic in having a paper straw but you're using styrofoam, which styrofoam is the number one thing.
And I've known that since I was like a kindergartner, like in kindergarten.
Everyone knows that stuff. I mean, it takes a very long time for styrofoam to even decompose. It even gets in these little pillows, like little tiny balls that they're left out in the ocean for a long time, and you'll see a lot of them on the California coast. I mean, styrofoam sucks, but to go back to what you're saying, sounds like that business just, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they're just not educated on the fact of the matter that, they got the straws down, which is a good step. Maybe they just can't afford to be more eco-friendly when it comes to cups. Who knows?
Yeah. I just saw that and I was like, I looked at my wife and I was like, wait a minute. You just handed me all of this stuff that's not that is recyclables, but yet you're gonna go with the paper straw that's this big.
Yeah, and that's why I said, maybe I give them the benefit of the doubt, because being eco-friendly, quote, isn't always cheap
Yeah.
for businesses, and that's a part of what we're trying to change with our Recycle for Veterans EcoWarrior program. Is there are actions showing, industries, communities that, hey, like, it's okay to take small steps toward change. Like at our
Yeah.
cleanups, we even talk about these things. Like, hey, when well, anything we find, not to go too deep into a conversation, but every cleanup we do, we always have an education portion at the end, which is we talk about everything we picked up. And our eco warriors select items from things we picked up to talk about. One of those being styrofoam all the time. It's obviously just not ideal. Plastic bottles. Yes, creating plastic is bad, but at the same time, I understand it's not cheap to make 100% recycled bound plastic bottles and keep reusing them. Our economy is not shaped that way. And I don't want to bore everyone to talking about why it's hard for us to recycle everything in a linear economy.
Okay.
But, moral of the story is we're given an education, teaching the people about these things, because like you said, like, yeah, what's the logic in that, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, we do like to bring up, hey, just because someone's not being eco-friendly doesn't mean they don't want to be. It's very expensive to be eco-friendly in some
Yeah.
aspects of business, especially in the restaurant industry.
Yeah. Yeah. I can imagine. Like I personally, like I just don't use bags. Cause like I found that like I remember like me and my wife, we were like, okay, because like I grew up in a household in an apartment where like my mom in the like we had a little pantry and we would just have thousands of plastic bags. And my mom would be like,
So
yeah,
with
my mom would be like, yeah, we're gonna reuse them. And then she'd go get more. And then we just had these tons of bags. It's like, bro.
yeah.
So then like right now I'm actually sitting in my and I see one of those reusable bags. And me and my wife have bought so many of them and we just never use them. And then
That's the
because we try to
that's
get like we try to do it. So then now I've just resulted in literally, I just don't even ask. I don't even ask for a bag. I'll
you
just
just
walk
carry
out of the
everything out.
store like this, and I'm just like, because I know that it's gonna go sit in my house, or it's gonna
Yep.
fall out of my car, or I'm gonna throw it in the trash, and I'm not gonna recycle. So I'm just like, you know what? I just don't want the bag. And then people, and I do that. I do. It's really stupid, but I do this funny thing. At least I think it's funny. I'll say to the person like at the store when they ask me, "Do you want a bag?" I'll be like, "No, I'm good." And then right when I pay for everything, I'll look at them and be like, "You're not gonna give me a bag?" And they'll be like,
So
"Sir, you
you just
just
said
said you
no.
didn't know." I'm like, "No, I didn't." And then I'll just be like, "No, I'm playing," and then I'll walk away. But no,
They're probably
so
like I'm sick of this shit.
yo, and I do it all the time, bro. But so now my question is on average, so how, first of all, how long have you been doing this, and then how many volunteers do you guys average?
Yeah, absolutely. So I could give you, maybe it'll be a little bit easier to talk about like how many total volunteers we've had and how many cleanups
Yeah,
we've
definitely.
so we've been around for a little over 2 years. And we've held, as of right now, we've held 58 cleanups
Oh wow.
in those 2 years. Due to COVID, it stopped our expansion, but we did not stop our operations because we knew we had a community that we need to look out for. So, just my mentality is, if we have two people in our community, we're going to look out for those two people. We got 100 people, 200 people, we're going to look out for those people. So that's why we didn't stop our operations during COVID. Since we started, we've had over 1,532 community members, also known as volunteers. And our total trash removal we've picked up so far since then is 15,374 pounds.
Oh wow.
As of, I believe that's the 15th of August.
Oh
We've had a
wow.
couple, we've had a cleanup since then, but that's not counted yet. So I'm just going off what I remember.
So how do you guys weigh it out? Like how does that work?
So we have so the way we do it at the cleanups is we have a scale. What is really easy for us to use is like, those suitcase scales that you can
Yeah.
pick up in the stores.
Yeah.
When people bring the debris to our collection point, we'll weigh the bucket or whatever they have. And if it's too heavy for the scale, we'll divide it up just to weigh it, but we have someone at our debris collection point adding up everything. Or if it's not a whole bunch, because we do get cleanups where we don't always pick up a lot, and that's fine, because the other part of our mission is community, right?
Yeah.
It's a good thing to not be picking that up.
Yeah.
But even when it's less like that, usually we'll just wait till the end and go, oh, good job, guys, we picked up 400 pounds.
Okay.
Something like that.
So now so say I wanted to donate to your nonprofit. Where would my money go? What would be the purpose of me donating?
Yeah. So everything when it comes to donations is going to go to our EcoWarrior program. And what that is, it's a program that offers a wide variety and benefits to our community for resources and all service members and veterans wanting to expand their network and serve in an equally important way, which is our current cleanup operations. So this program was designed for veterans, active duty service members, reservists, to be a part of a community that has purpose, which, there's a lot of communities out there that do, right? But we're taking a new fashion, which is by cleaning up our planet, leaving it cleaner than we left it. I always remembered that while being in the military, leave things better than you left it. And I kept to it. So, that's what we're doing out here. And so if you are going to donate, you'll go directly to our operations, which is helping our EcoWarriors make an impact in communities near you.
Awesome. And then I know you said earlier before we began the interview, that you do have a for-profit, but that one you really haven't been able to get.
That's a future plan of ours.
Okay.
We do have a for-profit that we want to use that has nothing to do with our current mission.
Okay.
We just have it, like I said, we're not using it just in case someone wants to go out there and trademark it or something. We just want to have we wanted all pathways covered, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. So so I know you said that you were expanding. The next one was going to be in Portland, Oregon. What does it take to expand? Like, what is it? Like, what does that take?
Yeah. So it actually takes people to donate, people to see what we're doing. We have a lot of great stuff planned. I'd love to tell your audience about, we're, like I said, we're currently servicing in those 5 regions, 6 by the end of the year. But by 2023, we plan to be in Texas, Florida, North Carolina, New York, and also an operation we have in South Africa with our partners, VetPaw. We're going to be doing some humanitarian efforts out there to help villages that are more, unfortunately, they're more pressured to using bottled waters because they don't have running water. So they just stack them up in their village, and we're going to actually go out there and help them repurpose those, collect those. Oh, wow. So we're going to leave the village better than, what they left it.
That's awesome.
All that can't happen without, the support of our community. We don't like saying followers, donors. We like saying our community, because at the end of the day, that's what we're building here. Is an opportunity for everyone to come together under the common goal, which is to clean our planet in a different fashion. Like we talked about before, people don't really think the veteran or, the military culture, right, would really fall into this. It's not about that. It's just about being a good person and leaving things cleaner so our future generations could enjoy what we have here.
Yeah. And it's also, it's also a very great way to come together as, veterans, because, a lot of what I talked about on my podcast in prior episodes is just the idea that, like, anytime you ever come together as veterans, what are you doing? Drinking. It's never, I don't want to say never, but it's, a lot of friends of mine have said it, like, oh, last time I hung out with Marines was a funeral, a wedding, or me at the bar. Now people can come together, they can work together to, better the planet. They can help do things. They're hanging around, joking around, and doing things like that. And it's, and you have a greater purpose. So I love it, man. I think it's really awesome.
I really appreciate that. Yeah, that's why we actually created the EcoWarrior Program.
Okay.
Was we wanted to give an exclusive community to veterans and active duty service members. It's not just coming out to our cleanups, and cleaning it and then leaving. It's actually a program where you'll get a wide variety of personal and professional developments. From on the personal side, you could get a free pair of recycled Converse. They're made of recycled material, from Nothing New shoes. We're partnered with them to give all our veterans and active duty service members within our program, if they hit the metric to receive those shoes, they'll get a free pair sent to them.
Oh,
On the
wow.
professional side, we have a wide variety, from resume building, helping in executive search when it comes to jobs. And also we do a lot of, we have a lot of guest speakers. Some of those guest speakers is Deshaun Shedd, who was a Super Bowl champion and team captain for the Seattle Seahawks. He came on and talked about teamwork. I think it's very important, and not to go too deep into it, I think it's very important to hear from not just veterans, but also civilians, how teamwork, all these benefits of working in the workplace, what they've seen, everything we know that we learned from the military is transferable. I just read a great book by Herb Thompson, actually, The Transition Mission. And, everyone always talks about it, right?
Yeah, we met him. I didn't get a chance to grab the book, but how was it?
It was good, man. Everyone talks about, like, transferring skills, right? Oh, you got to transfer what you learned from the military and get out. Well, that's what this program is helping people with. We're bringing people who have been there in that situation, and we're having them speak to help gain that personal and professional development. Maybe you don't have the confidence to, go do something. We have motivational speakers.
Mm-hmm.
We're bringing all sorts of people to where all you have to do is be a part of our cleanups, and you're going to receive all these opportunities. And to mention, for our active duty service members, we give out community service and LOAs, which ultimately helps out, as I know you, how many years did you serve again?
I'm still in the Marine Corps. I've been in for 12 years.
Okay.
I'm in the reserves right now.
Sorry.
Yeah.
But you know how important letter of appreciations are,
yeah.
especially for the lower, lower like NCOs, even Lance Corporals, privates. That goes a long way. It really puts you in outstanding positions amongst your peers. So we get honestly, we've had a lot of junior Marines come out to our cleanups, join our program, and sailors, and they're actually going up for boards. It's really, it's just really awesome to see that their efforts in their community really reflect them as a service member to our country. And that's ultimately what this program is bringing.
Yeah. And then you also have, for the Marine Corps, you have the Volunteer Service Medal. So that's I think like 2,000 some odd hours. So that's a great way to, hey, if anybody wants it,
Yeah, well, we've had a couple people receive it just from coming to our cleanups over the past
that's awesome
couple of years, man. So it's been a lot of fun, going to the ceremony. It's funny, it's just like typically a platoon, but you get me there and I'm like, hell yeah. Like, go get that. Because at the end of the day, it's if you're just out there for the medal, for the ribbon, medal, whatever, right? Cool. But also, it really just shows the kind of person you are.
Yeah, because people aren't going out and dropping 2,500 hours or some odd thing.
Absolutely not. That's a lot of hours.
Or 500 hours. I don't remember what the number is.
I don't remember exactly what it is, but we have a lot of active duty guys working towards it right now, who are currently our EcoWarriors.
Nice
roadmap.
That's awesome.
Making sure they're logging their hours.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of our LOAs, we like to put city officials to sign them. Yes, it's great from myself and my business partner to sign off on them, but we like to give some credibility to, if we're in the city of San Diego, we'll try to get an official from San Diego to sign off on it.
Oh, wow.
If we're in LA, we'll try to get that, an official in LA to sign off on it. We've done cleanups in Orange County where we've had the mayor of Newport Beach sign off on a cleanup we've done in Newport. And at the end of the cleanup, we held a bar crawl. You know what I mean? And we got the businesses involved. If you picked up a bucket of trash, you got a free drink.
Oh,
so
nice.
We do a lot. Yeah, we do a lot of cool things and incentives, and it's very empowering to just be amongst like-minded people at the end of the day, especially our warriors, man. Like it makes me. It just reminds me every day of why we're doing what we do.
And that's awesome, man. Because a huge reason why I started this podcast is to talk to people like you, because while I was on recruiting duty, man, like the amount of people that you meet every single day that say things like, hey, man, you're just going to join the Marine Corps. You're going to go kill a whole bunch of people and you're going to get out and you're not going to do anything. You're not going to be able to transition out of the military. And I still have family members right now who still say those same things, or friends of mine who still those same things. And it's like, there's so many people that don't know stories like yours. There's so many people out there who become so successful because of the military. Not to say that they weren't great people and maybe they could have done it without the military. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying everybody needs to join, but a lot of people just don't credit the Marine Corps, because you hear so many more negative stories about alcoholics or all these different things going on, but you don't really hear the beautiful, amazing stories that are coming of these different things that are happening. So it's really
Yeah,
a breath of fresh air to hear someone's story like that, and especially in something that you're doing where you're giving back to the community, to your family, the soon to be family, the generations of families and other
absolutely.
people. It's a very selfless act. It's really awesome to hear about.
Yeah, thanks, man. I really appreciate it. And as you know, people like to say the negative a lot more than the positive, right? I
Yeah.
mean, the negative always outweighs the positive in anything. I mean, we hear it all the time currently with our country. It's very, very true statement. But and yeah, that's what we actually speaking about, like, the future generations of Marines and stuff like that too. We work with a lot of recruiting stations. Actually in Orange County, we're working with the OC recruiting division, and we're doing cleanups with each recruiting station and bringing out the police and telling them, hey, like,
Oh, that's
the
awesome.
Marine Corps is more than just, like you just said, everyone thinks the same thing, right? What, like killing babies, whatever the heck, right? Like
Yeah.
some dumb shit that's like nowhere near
Yeah.
what being a Marine is.
Yeah.
And that's what we actually do. We've brought out Fullerton Marines, and we brought all the recruiters out. We did, like, a little PT, did a cleanup, and we talked about being in community. And we had more younger veterans like myself and some other individuals who are in the EcoWarrior program talk about what the Marine Corps did for them. I think it's a refresher, like you said, right, to hear the younger veterans who are getting out now, who served during peacetime, which is just it's as important as during a time of war. You
Yeah.
got to be ready always, right? I like to say the baton, passing off the baton, right? I learned from your generation. Now I pass it on to the younger generation, which shout out to 2-1 and 1-8 out there in Kabul right now. I have a lot of junior Marines who are in those units, and it's very, and I think we could all agree that it's very prideful, no matter what you were in the Marine Corps, to see the good
Mm-hmm.
the Marines are doing out there. I know you brought it up earlier, like all the photos of them holding babies, like feeding these children. Like, that's what we've always done.
Yeah.
That's what I've always learned from even, my seniors, my platoon sergeant, company commander. Like, we've always done those things.
Yeah.
It's just great to see now,
Mm-hmm.
tying back into what we're talking about is, like, the good in the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
I
Just
think
shine, seeing the brightness shine through that, and seeing,
yeah,
just seeing the good things that are coming from it. Like, there's bad things. And that's another reason, again, why I wanted to have you on, is because, I have had a lot of, I don't want to say a lot of negative episodes, but, I
mhm,
wanted to have, a breath of fresh air, a good story,
yeah,
about entrepreneurship, about giving back to, the Marine Corps and to your community.
absolutely.
Um, so I guess my last question would kind of just be, what else do you have in store for us? Like,
Yeah.
what's next for you guys? And then just kind of capping it up, whatever last words you want to share with us, and just kind of go off that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, excuse me, like I said, we're expanding. We can't do that without everyone's support. We want to, the goal is to be, having an EcoWarrior team in every state of, our country. We're also working towards, our co-op in Africa, where our EcoWarriors, if you're in the top, if you're in the top 10% of our program, which is, how many cleanups you attend, right? Or how many cleanups you do, you'll get the chance to go over there and do some humanitarian efforts. That's all, a lot of things we have in store in our future, and it can't be done without everyone's support. And the way you can support is by going to our website, checking out what we have coming up. We're in the process of getting our donor stuff set up for our website. So it might not be on there when this episode drops, but it will be on there very shortly. And like I said, without your guys' support and donations, we cannot make this happen. But another way you can support is by coming to our cleanups if you are in one of our operation areas. And the best way to find that out is at our website, recycleforvets.com, or on any social media platform, Recycle for Veterans. You could find where we're currently operating, when our next cleanup is, all through our social media. Like I said, we treat this as a community. We really we're changing the paradox of how community service ultimately reflects you as an individual to, if that's your job, a future job, and ultimately the future for our planet. But that's
Well,
the
and
best way you can help out.
it's also important. I'm glad that you're saying that, changing it, because like, if you really think about it, like me, I've done community service in my time, but the first time I ever did community service was when I got arrested in high school.
Mhm.
And they were like, hey, you're gonna go do however many 60 hours or 100 hours of community
Yeah.
service. Oh, you got attention. Hey, you're gonna go to community. So community service is such a thing that's wrapped around the, hey, you did bad. And like, when I'm driving on the Garden State Parkway, what do I see? I see people in orange suits up and down the
Yeah.
highway, cleaning up the trash that I left behind. And
Mhm.
it's like, or that someone else left behind. And the reality of it is that, why isn't it just normal human beings that just are
Yeah.
doing a good thing for their community? So it's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. And that's what, I really, like I said, no matter what your political beliefs in, what you, religiously believe in, I always say the same thing, which is, would you want the future generations, your great grandkids, your grandkids, to not be able to enjoy what you did on this planet? Or would you not want to leave it better for them? And that's where I kind of stop people. I try to have people think of it that way, with an open mind. Don't put politics into this. Don't put anything you really think about into this, other than the fact that we're just here to do something to make our communities better, make our planet better. And that's what I like saying, because at the end of the day, that's what matters to me, at least.
No, yeah, definitely, bro. All right. Well, I thank you so much, man, for taking out your time, to just come out here and share your story, and talk about what you're doing, and also just thank you for doing it. I think it's an amazing thing that you're doing, and that's the thing, man. It's a crazy thing that people, like I said already before, but people, you could have taken this as a negative thing in your life. You could have wallowed in self-pity. You could have been, there's 1,000 other places you could have gone, but instead you decided to change your life for the better, and then those surrounding you. So definitely, I thank you personally for that. I think it's a beautiful thing what you and your buddy are doing, your
Mhm.
coworker, or I don't know the right name,
Co-founder.
but yeah,
Yeah,
co-founder, my
it's
bad.
all good.
But I think it's a great what you guys are doing. I'm so glad that you're, already doing what you're doing with the recruiting stations, because again, you're showing those, soon to be one day Marines, like, hey, there's a lot more to the Marine Corps than what others think. And I think, who knows, man, maybe someday it won't just be Marine Corps Toys for Tots. It'll be, Marine Corps Recycle for the Marine Corps or something.
Yeah,
I
trying to make an
definitely,
impact in all our communities. So
yeah, I love it, man. I really do. And just thanks again for coming on, man. And I definitely look forward to working with you later on in the future, and just get you some donations and stuff.
absolutely, man. I appreciate you having me on. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, have a good rest of the night, and cheers with our water.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Have a good one, man.
You too.